Well, let's try that again. Look who's fashionably late and muted. Both. I'm off to a great start. New setup here, so pardon me. It's Wednesday, February 14th, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm Bob Harris. This is the Football Diehards YouTube channel. It's time to go on the hot seat. But first, happy Valentine's Day. I hope you're all having a wonderful day. FootballGuys.com is the website. We appreciate you joining us here every Wednesday on the YouTube channel for the on the hot seat videos, and also on Saturdays for the live Ask Me Anything live streams. Hit the subscribe button and the notification bell and all that kind of happy stuff. If you haven't already completed those tasks, go ahead and hit the like button. I would like that, or dislike. It's fine, whichever you like. Hope everyone's doing well. It's a solo on the hot seat. It's like Valentine's Day. It's the first Wednesday without a game ahead. People were looking to do other things. I didn't want to be a pain in everybody's collective tail. So I went ahead and decided I'd do a solo show. Hello, Albert. Thanks for coming. Appreciate y'all showing up here. And by the way, just because the season's over doesn't mean the season's over, right? You know how we roll around here. You know how I roll. By the way, first off, let's just, throw out there horrible incident in Kansas City today. Hoping the best for everyone. Sadly, a person was killed. It's just the times are not working well for us right now. So, horrible way to end what should have been a joyous celebration. The Chiefs got the win, the Super Bowl win. We all know that. My game did not work out as I expected, or it did not work out as I expected. The Chiefs prevailed 25-22. I will say my score prediction was 31-24. And so I was about a Christian McCaffrey big play away, and I expected the big play. It just never came. Anyway, we'll get into all of that. I hope everyone's doing well again. So we're working on some new things here. I have a new camera. I have a new microphone. Remember how we had trouble with the microphone in the past? I hope I've alleviated that. If I have not alleviated that, say in the chat, Bob, you have not alleviated that. You sound horrible. Or say you sound joyous, like a stentorian king spitting out his lines in a Shakespearean play or something. Whatever. You don't have to type all that. I'll get it. Would love to hear your thoughts on the Super Bowl. Interesting repercussions already. Kyle Shanahan firing Steve Wilks. You have the number 3 defense in the NFL, and apparently that's not enough if you don't win the Super Bowl. Hell, maybe Mike Dempsey was right about Brock Purdy. Maybe he'll be looking for work too. I don't think so, actually, but you know how it goes. There'll be a lot of conversation about that. How did you feel about the way the overtime played out? Was it the right call to get the ball first? I know there's a lot of discussion about, maybe the players not knowing the rules. Certainly the 49ers understood what they were doing. They had gone through it with their analytics. The Chiefs had gone through it with theirs, and both of them got what they wanted. And like, I get Shanahan's comments. And if you want to read a little more, there was a good article on ESPN where he just basically discusses, like, in the moment, maybe had the game been going a different way, I would have taken a different course of action. And I'm guessing he probably would have. So I think Dame, and hi Dame, Kyle Shanahan's, comments to start things out were basically, it just wasn't a good fit. Does anyone else feel like there was a certain play in particular where they had to call a timeout and it looked like they were set up for one thing and Shanahan didn't like it? They were talking about it during the game broadcast. That kind of seemed like maybe a defining moment. Good afternoon, Mr. Scampers. Thanks for coming. Appreciate you showing up here. And so I kind of felt like there was a single defining play that maybe, Shanahan did not appreciate the play call. They called a timeout. They sorted it out. They did something else. Maybe that was the moment where everything clarified, became more crystal clear for one Kyle Shanahan. Look, it's a super disappointing way to end the season. Super great way for the Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes doing the Patrick Mahomes-y kind of things you would expect him to do. Pulling out the big win. If you heard the mic'd up segment with the referees going, man, you don't want to have the ball in Patrick Mahomes' hands as this thing comes down. Kyle Shanahan, well, I'm getting news on the it's right there. Let's see what it says. Kyle Shanahan will look inside and outside the building for his next defensive coordinator. So there we have it. Steve Wilks. What an interesting run he's had, right? All he does is kind of succeed and lose jobs. Congratulations, Steve Wilks. How's that all working out for you, sir? I'm sure he'll find another great job. But just interesting how those things work out and the dynamics kind of go. Interested to hear your thoughts, just kind of how it played out versus your expectations. I mentioned, like, I felt like like I told myself a story going into the game. Hey, Kevin, good to see you. Told myself a story going into the game. It was going to be a big showing. It was going to be a close game. And the difference would be Christian McCaffrey's big plays. If I would have amended that to say big play, not plural, maybe I would have had it right. Look, Christian McCaffrey did not cost him that game. There was some poor protection. Chiefs defense, I think, and Steve Spagnuolo, kudos to him. I feel like their secondary played lights out. McDuffie, Snead, etc. Safeties played well. Linebacker, everyone played well. Chris Jones made huge plays when it's time to make huge Chris Jones style plays. Also, would have been great to block Chris Jones on some of those plays. I think, would have been great to block McDuffie on that last on the play where he came through totally untouched, and you saw McCaffrey was open on that play if they had a little bit of time. So just, but in the end, hats off to the Chiefs. They sorted it out, figured it out on a game that seemed to me like to be kind of a microcosm of their NFL season, right? Not enough offense, tons of defense, just enough offense when it mattered most. Yeah, but this is a great point, Dave. Purdy left the field with a lead every time he left the field. I mean, did his part. And I don't want to say, I do think Bosa showed up and played like a man possessed, right? I mean, he was everywhere. Thought the linebacker core played well. Dre Greenlaw. What a horrible circumstance, right? What a horrible damn circumstance. And apparently he had been having Achilles issues leading up to this, and or throughout the course of the season, but for it to snap right as you're getting ready to run out of the field, he's having a great game. They were handling Travis Kelce nicely, I thought, for the most of the first half. So just interesting. My wife told me each week Buffalo could, Ravens should, Niners have the talent, but in the end I can never bet against Mahomes. I mean, I can't argue that. I'm getting some more information in here about something. Yes, some more sad news on the shooting. The Chiefs left the parade in buses and in shock. Players are unbelievably, were unbelievable, calming panic kids down. Blaine Gabbert, Trey Smith, Austin Ryder, Chris Olakon, all rallied. Smith went to an upset kid, gave him the WWE title belt and sat with him until he calmed down. So again, horrible, horrible super circumstances there today in Kansas City. And I'm sure we'll get this all sorted out, as to what was behind it. But I think, for now, none of that really matters, right? It's just like, sad day for those who, the person who lost their life and the 10 plus who were shot. Yes, brutal injury for Dre Greenlaw. I just you like all that. So what's worse? Let's figure this out. Is it worse? I mean, I know for the Jets, it was way worse, Aaron Rodgers' injury, but for the individual, there is no good time to have a season-ending injury, right? No good time. Every time I see a season-ending injury, I have a single thought. And that single thought is, man, all the work that person put in, everything that person did every single day, the drive that it takes to get to that level of play, then the drive it takes to get to that level of that level, right? All the work that goes into that year round, everything that you put into that, all goes for naught on one play. So obviously for Rodgers and the Jets, the timing was horribly, was horrible, right? It put the kibosh basically on whatever their hopes for the season. Hi, Royal Slade. Thanks for coming. And that's horrible. But you're in the Super Bowl. You've made it all that way. You've put in all the effort. You've gotten yourself into the big game, and to have it end boom like that. Oh, man, just heartbreaking. I'm going to talk a little bit about some injury information just in general, and I've talked about it here before on one of the live streams, but in case anyone missed it, I do think it's interesting. There are some numbers out there on the overall injuries being down. We say this, and we say this I think everyone, as a fantasy manager, you say it. I know I say it all the time. God, this is the worst year for injuries. This has to be the worst year ever for injuries. And it almost always turns out not to be the worst year ever for injuries. This one is demonstrably not. I think this is the year that will go down as the most memorable to me in terms of volatility, in terms of week to week uncertainty, and unexpected outcomes, and hard to read tea leaves and matchups that fall short of being what they were. And part of that is on me and us as in general as fantasy managers. And I just think it's fans, right? We get it in our head that here's the matchup. This is perfect. This is how it should play out. And when it doesn't play out that way, we freak out. Well, again, it's a football. They're playing this game for a reason, right? It's the old cliche. They play the games for a reason. Yes, they do. Because all the smart stuff that we do. So what, and I hear some of you out there. Well, why are we trying to do this then? Well, because we love it. It's the fun of the game. It's trying to be a little smarter than, than the other guys in your league or the other competitors. And, it's competition, just like on the field and just like on the field, off the field in our game, the uncertainty can cause issues. So just fascinating how it works out. I love everything about football. Not gonna lie. Even the crazy outcomes, even when it irritates the hell out of me, and it does. I get irritated as anybody, right? But I've been playing longer than you, so I've been irritated longer than you. And I say that with great confidence because I'm much older than all of you. I also say that with great confidence because I'm much older than almost everybody. All right, so just looking at the performances in the Super Bowl, I mean, did anyone really disappoint? Maybe Isaiah Pacheco. We've been talking about this on the radio program this week a little bit. Did anyone really materially alter their draft status going into next year? Maybe Pacheco goes from right inside the top 10 to maybe right outside top 10. I don't think anyone made a significant impact on their draft value, right? I think everyone's going to go where they're going. You want to draft Juwan Jennings based on this game? I'm going to try to spend most of my offseason talking you out of that. Don't do that, I would say. Please. Because right when we're right when it feels so good, but the irritation keeps us trying harder. That's it, man. It's the competitive drive that we all have. Everyone in this chat. I mean, I know all of you for a fact are super competitive people, and that's what we're here for. And so, these minor setbacks, the week-to-week setbacks, that's part of what makes it great, right? It's rebounding from the adversity and overcoming it. All of that is a ton of fun. But just in general, I thought the performance of the game, Patrick Mahomes was phenomenal. Isaiah Pacheco, probably, the fumble was bad, but I mean, just didn't quite have the game that we had come to expect over the last month and a month plus 6 weeks of the season. It had been great. Can't complain about Christian McCaffrey. Would have loved to see. Whoa. I hadn't even thought of that. Let's take that a step further, Royal Slade. You know who I'm thinking. Put a hood on him and send Bill Belichick out to San Francisco. I don't think that would ever happen, but someone's going to mention that. But Vrabel maybe seems perfectly viable. We'll see. I mean, Ron Rivera is still looking for work. The Washington connection. I mean, Shanahan wasn't there. They didn't share time together, but that's the pipeline. And they're also losing officially today, Clint Kubiak, which had to wait till after the Super Bowl. The passing game coordinator in San Francisco goes to the Saints to become their offensive coordinator after Pete Carmichael moved on at the end of the season. So, but it will be interesting to see what goes on there. These, whether it's the Rams or the 49ers, they all come from that same tree. They were all coaches together under Mike Shanahan in Washington. That's Sean McVay, Shanahan, the new coordinator for the Falcons, Zach Robinson came after that, but Matt LaFleur, that whole group of guys, Zach Taylor, all that whole group of guys came from that tree, right? And where we've seen other coaches, come in, and there's a drain on that. Everyone's looking for those guys. That's why Zach Robinson moves on, and that's why Clint Kubiak has moved on. And I think some of the coaches there will not move on. I have a former high school teammate, Chris Furster, who is the run game coordinator / offensive line coach. I think he'll go nowhere. I don't think he'll be moving on at any point in time. Has a little history. I don't really, really good guy. Had a bad moment as a coach of as an assistant in Miami, and now has rebuilt his career, with guys that he coached with. He coached with those guys in Washington, Shanahan, and all those guys. So he'll be the top remaining offensive coach. They'll have to kind of reboot there a little bit. So we'll see. What is Brock Purdy to all of us, right? He finished as quarterback 6 on the season. I want to say I'm looking at my underdog data, or at least best ball. I'll go to Football Guys. By the way, footballguys.com, the website where I'm applying my trade at, in addition to winning some major awards today at the FSGA, I think they won for the best written content, midsize, and best product experience, midsize, Football Guys. Also, the rookie guide is out there. If you want to go get it, you can get it for absolutely free. You don't have to pay a damn thing except your email address. And when you put in your email address, you will join 700,000 other people and getting an email sent to you every day that sends you information. You could probably unsubscribe from it if you choose. I would like you not to unsubscribe from it. Many of you probably already subscribed to it. So, but get that. Kevin Coleman, Jeff Bell, all do great work on that. I'm leaving somebody off. Christian Williams. I'm getting used to everybody. And Kevin will be on the radio program tomorrow night to talk about it a little bit. Had Sam Wagman on, Matt Waldman on this week as well already. This is for sure the final week of 4 shows a week for Football Diehards on Sirius XM. We thought it was last week, but we were wrong. So we're going Thursday and Friday night this week. Friday night will be just me and Dempsey doing a mock draft by ourselves. A mock draft. What are we calling it? Something Friday? A fake football Friday? I don't know. This is not a simulation Saturday or a mock draft Monday. It's a something Friday. But we're gonna take all the teams, the 2 of us. Because why? It's hard to get someone to sit there for 2 hours, except us, because we get paid to do it. So there you have it. So we'll be doing some of those, and we'll do more of those simulation Saturdays throughout the season. We'll be on from 3 to 5 every week, every Saturday going forward over the course of the offseason until the draft comes, and then we'll ramp it back up to our usual things. Meanwhile, I'll be writing a weekly column at Football Guys. You'll be watching for that. It'll come out every Monday, and during the offseason and other stuff, be doing instant reaction stuff to various news and notes and informations, and joining a cast of great characters in producing great content that hopefully you'll all enjoy immensely. And so this is going to continue on, I think, for, again, for the foreseeable future. I do have a guest for On the Hot Seat next week, but On the Hot Seat next week is going to be on Thursday. So I can accommodate one Sam Holt from My Fantasy Life, who will come on and join me. She did a great job covering the Super Bowl, man. The women of fantasy football, all of them, Kelly, the whole crew there, Roxanne, Gemma, everybody, the whole bunch of them did a great job, and I was super impressed with their efforts there. So we'll come on to talk a little bit about that. I'll be here Saturday, and we'll maybe start doing some mock drafts of our own as we've done in the past here. I do want to talk about some early values. I'm seeing some interesting things. First rounds have been pretty set, right? Is Purdy going for? I like Purdy going forward, but should I? I think you should, right? And here's why. I was going to get to those best ball values as I started talking about Football Guys, because I was going to their best ball rankings already, which are very, very much in line with what I'm seeing in the underdog best ball big board thing that they're doing. I'm in some drafts there already. And it's almost, not note for note, but damn close. And Brock Purdy is quarterback 13, going after Kyler Murray, going after Jordan Love, going after Justin Fields, Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow, Dak Prescott at 7, Anthony Richardson at 6. I have been chasing Anthony Richardson in every damn draft I've done. I've done 5. Or in 2 of them are still ongoing. Have missed out on Richardson. He seems to go around higher every time. CJ Stroud right ahead of him at 5, Patrick Mahomes at 4, Jalen Hurts at 3, Lamar Jackson up at 2, and I get it. Josh Allen at 1, I get that as well. So to me, Purdy is a guy I'll be drafting if I draft Anthony Richardson, because I'm going to have to jump up the ranks. And this is what you're going to find. If you love a player, you're going to have to go chase them, especially in rooms full of sharps. And if you think you're not in a room full of sharps, if you're drafting in February, think again. Everybody there is a sharp in February, or they wouldn't be drafting in February. And so, I know there's a lot of people out there. Well, what the hell are you doing drafting it? None of you are saying that, because you all probably are doing it as well. But, the whole goal here is simple. I want to be as well versed in drafting by the time August hits as I can be. So things like I've done in initial drafts. I want to say in our initial Sirius XM fantasy host mock draft, I hit round 10 and I had my heart set on Brock Bowers. I was totally sure I was going to get him, or it was around 11. I had the 11-8. Brock Bowers went 11-5. I didn't have anything in my, I didn't have anything in, I didn't have another arrow in my quiver. Right. And I'm looking at the ADP list, and that's where you start making bad calls. Right. This is the line, man. I'm carving this out and saving it. Willpower. That's exactly true. If you don't think you're in a room full of sharks, you're likely the chum. I've been a little chummy on the Anthony Richardson. I'll talk about that in a second here, how it's played out in all these drafts. But I get into the 11th round and I was going, I already had a tight end, but I said, I'm going to, I'm not one of those people who is aggressively drafting rookies before they get on the teams. Many people in these drafts are. You're seeing Marvin Harrison Jr. going in the second round. You're seeing Neighbors going, not long after that. Rome Odunze going as well. And so you're seeing plenty of rookies. Not a lot of rookie running backs. Not a lot of those, but a lot of, at least the top 3 wide receivers for sure I've seen go in every single draft. And I'm also seeing Brock Bowers go. And so I thought Brock Bowers in the 11th seems like a pretty good deal. That's where I can look a little assertive, a little aggressive, like a smart guy, one of the smarty pants in the room. And so, boom, he gets drafted a few picks ahead of me. I just was at a loss. I was sure I was going to get him. This is what you're trying to leave. And you know what I did? I drafted Jerry Jeudy. It's like, there's nobody on my do not draft. I will draft anybody at the right price. I don't know how many rounds it would take for me to be excited about drafting Jerry Jeudy at this point. I don't know. It's been 5 years, people. I don't know if it's ever going to happen. Right? It's 4 or 5. 4, 5, 5. I got to look. It's been a long damn time. And so it's, but these are the kind of errors you make in the moment when you get caught off guard or when you get sniped or someone takes a player you want. You always, I always try to have a list as long as however many picks in my head, at least, or at least 3 players, 3 arrows in my quiver ready to pull out as my pick is drawing near. And that comes over the course of time. That doesn't come like if I jump into a draft on August 30th and say, oh, I'm ready to go. No, I'm not ready to go. I'm ready to go after I do a couple hundred drafts leading up to that. Then I'm ready to go because then there's always arrows in my quiver. I'm never arrowless. Never. There's a character in a movie I saw that has a lot of arrows. I don't know. It was a Marvel film. I watched all of those 2 years ago. All of them. It was really good. Marvel movies, they are fantastic. Anyway, so that's the point you're trying to get at. If you're in the room, not just being chum, but you're trying not to be chum when it matters most, and the Sharks are, seriously gonna eat your lunch and you're gonna have a dismal season, right? So that's kind of the point where I want to get to. I want it to be second nature. I want drafting to be second nature. I don't want to be sitting there having to think about things. If I have to react in a second, I want to be able to react in a second. And that's how you get there. Repetitions. It's like anything, right? It's like, why do they practice games? Repetitions. So you're familiar with what you're doing. So pretty simple call for me. So I am in all these drafts. Let's talk about Anthony Richardson. Y'all know how I feel about Anthony Richardson. Almost as giddy about him as I was about, well, maybe giddier, right? About him in a different way. Like Jahmyr Gibbs was kind of my guy. And, I thought it was a pretty easy line to draw between he and Bijan Robinson, just in terms of draft capital, right? If we were making the argument why we were drafting one, Bijan, very high. Well, it was a pretty easy argument to make. Why wouldn't you draft the other one? Or why wouldn't you have expectations for the other one? In Anthony Richardson's case, it was easier not to have expectations. We were told he could not pass the football. Yet here he is passing the football like a madman. He's a very good passer of the football, it turns out. I know my buddy Fabs wrote a piece up, his man crushes, and he has Anthony Richardson included on there. And the way he laid it out, he scored 17 plus points in his first 3 games, including a 29.6 point performance in week 3. Had the injury, had what was it, a knee injury in week 4 or shoulder injury. Fabs, fix that. But and he started throwing this week, so I'm very excited. But I think the Colts will tell you, and I was reading this on their very own website. Here's what they were saying about him. Even though Richard started just 4 games before the season ending shoulder injury week 5, the Colts came away encouraged. Well, hell, I was encouraged. I was more encouraged. But the comment from Chris Ballard is, this guy is a passer. Throughout the pre-draft process, the Colts believe Richardson's low completion percentage at Florida, 54.7%, was a mirage. They saw in his college tape good pocket presence, his ability to navigate pressure and keep his eyes downfield, but needed to translate that to the NFL, where navigating rapidly collapsing, rarely perfect pockets is a must. But it did translate. You know what we knew before that? You know who knew this? Matt Waldman knew this. Matt Waldman talked about this with me on multiple occasions. He talked about it on this very live stream on occasion. He felt like the ability to throw the passes was there, right? He thought the accuracy would be there. He thought everything that the Colts thought, and the translation, that was where he said the interesting portion would come in. That was where he thought, Matt Waldman thought, the disconnect was a little bit. He had to come in, and it's like you speak a language, but you don't speak it fluently. He had to get up to fluent in the language. He was there. I mean, he was close enough for me. I considered him the lottery ticket. If you're going in, hi Ty, thank you. I think you're fantastic as well. But that's how I viewed him coming in. Like, so he's the lottery ticket. If you're buying a lottery ticket, buy the big prize, right? Don't buy the $50,000 scratch, or buy the $1 million, or, whatever. So that I view him the same way this year. They need to teach him how to not get hurt. I know what you're thinking. Well, you can't teach that. No, you can't necessarily 100% teach that, but you can improve that as to a Tagovailoa. Again, I'm going to get up on my soapbox. I'm going to pound my real desk and make my camera shake. Teams who are investing the kind of money in quarterbacks that they're investing in quarterbacks, and who place the importance on this position, because it is the most important position in sports, you need to put some effort and some money and invest in keeping these guys healthy, helping them learn how to stay healthy. There are people who fight for a living who stay healthier than a lot of quarterbacks. Well, why is that? Because they learn how to stay healthy. They learn how to absorb punishment. They learn how to roll with punches, or hits, or whatever, right? So I think Tua, they put a lot of work in with him with a jiu-jitsu specialist last year. I think it paid off. Waldman led me to Richardson, basically traded Murray for him. I think you came out even worse. I would agree with that, Ty, 100%. 100% agree with that. The upside, I don't know if, I don't see a quarterback with more upside, right? With more upside. Like Josh Allen is proven upside. Jalen Hurts, proven upside. But it's got to be on those short touchdown runs, some of his, right? Unless he improves as a passer. Kellen Moore might change how we look at Jalen Hurts. It's entirely possible. I'm hoping. Patrick Mahomes. I mean, we've seen the high end, but he doesn't hit it all the time. Lamar Jackson, he hits it a lot. I like Anthony Richardson, so I've been targeting him. My initial thought was 7th round would be good. Seemed reasonable. Like, are people really going to be out drafting? Well, again, know the room you're in. I was chum. I got my tail end handed to me as he went. In the first draft I went in, I was in the, I want to say 6, 7, 8 range. He went at the turn before I was going to pick him. So I jumped up. I said, I'm going to jump it up around next time. I was in a similar spot. He went a round earlier, went at the 5, 6 turn. So I don't know where I'm going to have to get to land him. I'm hoping I get some more fortuitous draft positions. I think being earlier in the draft is going to be a benefit there. But to get back to the point of the question, where this all took me from, yes, I'm going to draft. Brock Purdy is going to be the second quarterback. Kirk Cousins is going to be the second quarterback. Jordan Love is going to be my second quarterback if I draft Anthony Richardson. Why? Because they're like going as quarterbacks 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, right? That's the long standing, tested, true, and tried. We always call it the steady Eddie. Get the steady Eddie, go for your upside play, reach for him, overpay if you must. I know somewhere out there, Jeff Ratcliffe is going never overpay. It makes him very angry. And I understand it. You don't go into You don't go into, as he puts it, you don't go to Starbucks and say, I'd like to pay you $1 more for that latte than you already charged me, which is way too much as is. But that latte might be something that's not a latte. It might have something, an extra shot of something in it. And so I'm willing to pay a little bit more to see what's behind door number whatever, door number Richardson. There, that was a tirade. Kevin Page tried trading for Richardson in a couple dynasty leagues. No interest in conversation by those holding him. I would have zero interest, and I do have him in some dynasty leagues, and I am so darned excited. So excited. I just can't hide it. And yes, Royal Slade, they did kill it, man. Honest to gosh, man. I've done Radio Row many years. I've not gone the last few years, obviously, for the obvious reasons, Sirius, quit packaging the whole band of us up along and taking us. And and now there are other issues that are keeping them from packing up the whole band. And I'll be honest with you, I'm okay with it. I did what? I want to say I did 7, 8 years of live Radio Row coverage, 7 years or so of live NFL draft coverage. And it was fantastic, and I had a good time. But I don't know that any of that work that I did at any of those events, I mean, look, the novelty wears off after a while. Well, no, it doesn't. It's still fantastic to sit there at a table and interview Jerry Rice or Drew Brees or Andre Reed or Isaac Bruce or any of these great players that you get to talk to from the past and current. I mean, everybody's there. Everybody's shilling something. And so they got to make the rounds, right? And we gladly sit there and talk to them and let them promote their product. But we get what we want. And it's a ton of fun. And it is amazing. And I've talked to, like, over the years, I've talked to some amazing players, right? From the magazines. By the way, stop. Time out. I'm burying a lead here. The GoFundMe for Emil Cadlick, we just hit the $25,000 mark in large part because of a $2,000 donation I was just able to make today from Matt Donaldy. Thank you, Matt. But also from all the people who signed up to that. We had a huge crowd in the Vipers 6th annual postseason challenge. All the proceeds went to Emil, who, by the way, was in the chat last week. He was in the chat. He was chatting with y'all last Saturday, and you didn't know it. I was pretty sure it was him, but I wasn't 100% sure because it could have been one other person. So I didn't want to say anything, but I talked to him afterwards. And I have talked to Emil, and he's holding up quite well. And so you never know when he might be lurking around. But what a great thing, Matt Donnelly and the entire community. And there were a group of people who put in prizes, right? Now, I don't want to leave anyone out. So let me just get up the list for you, because I'm just, so grateful to everybody who jumped in there. And in particular, football guys, Matt Harmon with the Reception Perception subscription, the Fantasy Guru site, Jeff Manson and his friends, Fantasy Points, John Hansen and that crew there, Joe Dolan, the whole. And by the way, I had dinner with Scott Barrett this weekend. I went out with Scott Barrett from Fantasy Points. It's a fantastic time. Roto Baller, Raph and Lore, Fantasy Alarm, Bender, and Scott Fish. The winner got a Scott Fishbowl 14 entry. And so man, what a man. I know there has been some ongoing dramas in the so-called fantasy community. I get it. There's always going to be drama because people, right? Look at Kevin Payne. Did 10th place. Better than me. Yes. I swore. Here we go. No more drinking before your podcast. Sorry for the cheaper vibes. Well, I love you. It's okay, man. You're fine. I'm dude. I have no issues with any of that. Creeper, you can be the creeper. You can creep. Look, I have Wendy Early after me. Come on, man. My bestie, right? Like, I'm perfectly fine with everyone being exactly how they want to be. And those that don't love me probably aren't here, or they don't stay as long as the rest of you. I don't know. Hit the dislike button if you care to. Go ahead. I'm fine with it. And again, I'm planning at some point. I keep sitting here saying I'm going to do more orderly shows and have something more better planned out. The questions usually derail me, and there have been less questions because obviously it's not football season and people don't have specific lineup questions. So I come in here and just start rambling along. And so slap me and tell me to get back in line when I've gone too far astray. But I do plan to have more structured shows going forward where we have some plans and I have an actual, like I'm going to get in here and I want to hit on these things, right? And I want to accomplish these goals in the course of an hour. Right now, I don't want to accomplish a damn thing except talk to Royal Slade and Ty and Kevin and Dame and Scampers. I mean, the whole group. Everyone here is so fantastic. So yes, expect a more concerted effort, and expect me to do some more stuff with football guys. We've got big plans, for some things we're going to do. We're talking about that. But I don't know that this channel is going to go away unless somebody takes it from me, which is entirely possible. I don't expect that, but I don't know that. But if you don't see me here, I will be elsewhere. I will be easily seen. I'll continue doing the radio show. Of course, it'll be one show a week with Mike Dempsey until we get up to the draft. But they do baseball stuff. Look, I'm as surprised by this as you are. Baseball. Who knew? People like to play that. Some people even watch it. I am not any of those people, but good on them. I will not do my Shohei Ohtani fake rant that I like to do when people say I don't know anything about baseball. Kayfabe, people. Kayfabe. Look it up on your Google device. That's me and baseball. Me and Shohei Ohtani. I got a kayfabe thing going with him. Yes, I can cite numbers and whatnot. Anyway, so and as we're going along here, if you have questions, throw them out there. I'm just kind of, I want to. My goal today was to kind of chip in and start breaking the seal a little bit more on what's going on in drafts and what I'm seeing and some of the things that are surprising me or not surprising me. So it started out with the Richardson. So maybe this has been more structured than I actually think. And yes, if you just tuned in, I know it's Valentine's Day. Also, I'm Bob Harris. You might know me from a long career at Football Diehards. It's not my wedding, Steve. Let's clarify this. I'm going to a wedding. It's my fiance. Well, I guess my wedding is coming. I am engaged, but we don't have a date yet. But I am going to a wedding. I will be off the week of February 27th to March 5th to attend my fiance's son's wedding. It's a destination wedding in St. Thomas. And it's going to be fantastic. And I'm super excited to go and take part in that. So my wedding, yes, so everyone will be invited. We'll live stream it. Wait, I got to look around and make sure I don't get in trouble for saying that. Look, I know it's Valentine's Day. Look, I got a card and everything. Look, I'm on top of this. I got this. So yes, regular chatters will obviously be invited. It's going to be a very public affair. Here we have a real question. I love that, Kevin Payne. Which is the best value of the Green Bay wide receiver? So let's go to the current. I'm going to use the football guys rankings right now because they are so close to the underdog, and I could bring up the underdog as well and just verify that after I take a look here. But I'm going to see where we got him. So number one, Jaden Reed's 33rd is wide receiver 33. I'll go with the positional numbers, and then we'll dive into the draft positions a little bit. Christian Watson is 42. He is not the best value, although he may end up outperforming this. We just don't know what Christian Watson is yet, do we? Romeo Doubs at 50. Dontavian Wicks at 59. Hello. Where's Bo Melton on this list? Bo Melton is not on this list. Yes, Malik Heath and Bo Melton down at 137, 143. I'm not going down that far. I'm going to go ahead and just, for me, I'm going to have a lot of shares of Dontavian Wicks. Because until I gain a little more clarity, and I might not get that clarity even until the regular season next year. So I think this is a tough one for me, Kevin, because I do think the thing that stands out to me about the Packers was be my Valentine. The thing that stands out to me about the Packers was the talk last June. Look, I kept going with my narrative. My narrative was whatever we think about Jordan Love taking over for Aaron Rodgers, the Packers had feelings about this as well. And the Packers' feelings are what matter because they're around him every day. Something we do as fantasy managers, we see a situation and we wonder, why isn't it different? Why isn't it playing out differently? Why isn't it playing out the way we think it should play out? This just in. We're not there every day. The people there are around the players. These people are together every single day for the bulk of their waking hours. They know more about it than we do. Are they always right? No. And it's irritating when they're not. But the Packers knew, right? The Packers knew what they had in Jordan Love before they let Aaron Rodgers leave. I don't care how contentious the situation got, how displeased, unhappy, whatever Aaron Rodgers was, discontent, how much trouble he was going to make. Like I've seen this movie before, right? With Brett Favre, right? So, I mean, you don't let in a league where there are not 32 high-end quarterbacks, not every team has one. You don't let one leave unless you think you have at least someone reasonably capable of taking that spot. So they thought they did, and they were correct. They had that guy. Has it been a bit of a process? Yes. Is the process ongoing? Also, yes. But they told us in June last year, Brian Gutekunst said, he was taking flack for not picking up a big name free agent wide receiver. And he said, well, no, because we think we have a great young receiving core and we want them to grow together with our great young quarterback. Here we are, that great young receiving core growing together with that great young quarterback, or not great yet, but certainly heading in a better direction than some people expected, right? And maybe even some of us expected in the middle of last season. He came out going great guns, right? Because he was throwing touchdowns. Dempsey and I kept saying, this seems like a little hinky. He's not getting the completion percentage. He was in the mid-50s, right? It was not good. And then the touchdown stopped, and we all went, oh, this guy, he's not great. Fantasy, not me. I mean, I was not excited about him. Who was? Evil Catholic had drafted the hell out of him all summer long. And then it all started to click. Right, everything is a bit of a process. We have this need for instant gratification. I get it. We want things to happen right away. They don't always. Jahmyr Gibbs, I'm glad I didn't drop him. And it didn't start out the way I thought it started out. So anyway, Jordan Love ended up being, exactly, I think, what the Packers thought he would be, and he continues to develop into what may be one of the stars. He's going to be available late in your drafts. He might make it into double-digit rounds. Let me look in the drafts I've been in, what rounds he has gone in the drafts that have gone complete. I am currently in a the fantasy sports mock. Here, I should do this again. And I promise I'm going to figure out how to show you how to share the screen at some point. But I'm not. Now is not that point. That's not the point. There's one. That's the SiriusXM host draft. The first draft we did. I want to say mid-January. So Love went. I've got to move the thing down so I can actually see all the picks. 12th round, last pick of the draft, final pick, 12th round, after Jaden Daniels, which I think is a little crazy at this point, a little aggressive. After Tua Tagovailoa, I took Kirk Cousins at round 10, or no? Yes, I did, because I was drafting. I was team 8. It's not my name; it's our program director's name. So, and I think Cousins is going to be a great play too. And I'm assuming he's going back to Minnesota. These double-digit round guys, though, are all going to be perfectly servable. Look where Dak went, 8-2. So, but Jordan Love, 12-12. I mean, I'm going to have a lot of shares of Jordan Love, especially if I have a lot of shares of Anthony Richardson. It's just going to happen. He's going to be one of those guys that I draft to be a steady Eddie, and he's not without upside. Willpower. I dropped the love for Richardson at the end of the season. Now I have him along with Burrow and Hurts. He immediately got picked up. Yeah, I think that's reasonable though. If that was my choice, I'd probably make the same choice. I think we have it. I think I have enough to go on for Richardson. Maybe I'm totally out of my mind, but this goes back to the discussion of what was going on. Matt Waldman's assessment. I have a great deal of respect for how Matt does his work, and I tend to listen. Is Matt always right? No. Is Matt right a lot? Yes. Yes, he is. And he's able to explain what he's seeing in a way that I understand, right? Matt's language, I understand, and it makes sense to me. Maybe not make sense to everybody. Makes sense to a lot of people who work in the game, though, and who know what his process is. I think what makes Love potentially great for fantasy, but not great for the wide receivers, that Love spreads around just like his predecessors did, minus Rodgers. I totally agree with that. And I think that's going to make it very difficult for us as fantasy managers to try and sort out from week to week. And that's why I'm probably going to be taking the cheapest piece. They figure out Christian Watson's hamstrings. They figure out how to keep him on the field. Maybe that's where they should put some money figuring that out. And they talked about it, right? Christian Watson talked about it last year, about them putting a concerted effort into understanding why he has the hamstring issues he had. In some cases, it's like a dragster, right? Dragster goes up and down the racetrack 2 or 3 times. You've got to put a new motor in it. Some of these guys are wound up so tight, these quick twitch guys. And Christian Watson is a uniquely talented player. We saw it in his rookie season. There was a 4-game stretch with 7 touchdowns. There's 2 things you can't coach. I'm going to throw out the cliches, kids. Get out your pencil. 2 things you can't coach in the NFL: size and speed. At his position, he has more of both of those things than a lot of guys. Certainly a lot of the guys who are trying to cover him. He's just got to keep it on the field. And so, and if he can do that, that draft position he's going at, that wide receiver 42 ranking, he's going to blow it out of the water. But he's got to do that. And that's an issue for him. I think there's a lot of talented guys. Romeo Doubs, we heard going into last season, heading as we hit into August, that he was the guy that was going to be the dominant force. And there were games where he was, but he wasn't. And I think it's exactly what Will Power said, or what Ty said. It's because they're going to spread the ball around. And if Jordan Love's really good at that, then we're going to have a bunch of guys that you can't play them necessarily every week. But when you do play them, you might get great outcomes. And one of them might rise up. I think if one of them is going to rise up, it's Jaden Reed. If one of them becomes a consistent weekly play, it's going to be Reed, because he has that more varied role. As Michael F. Florio, my friend at NFL.com, calls him the Wisconsin Debo, because he has that rushing equity, and they do use him a little bit. Steve Pavia would like to know, how do we explain that the Chiefs win 2 Super Bowls after they let Tyreek go? It's a simple explanation. It's 2 words. It's Patrick Mahomes. Okay, that's the simple explanation. It's obviously more complicated than that. Their defense showed up this year, and their defense showed up in a big way in the Super Bowl. So did Patrick Mahomes when it mattered the most. Also, at least when we got into the postseason. And from a fantasy perspective, it still wasn't, ideal. It wasn't like huge numbers over the course of the season. I mean, it was especially not great over the course of the season. We bring up the season-long numbers. Nobody's going to write home about these, right? I'll go through week 17 because I don't know who all played in week 18. The average points per game for Mr. Pat Mahomes. 17.9 points per game. He was quarterback 7. What was he in points per game? He was even lower than that in points per game. He was quarterback 13 in points per game over 7 from weeks 1 through 17. It's tied with Justin Herbert at 17.9. Who was ahead of him? Kyler Murray at 18.1. CJ Stroud at 18.6. Brock Purdy at 18.7. Jordan Love 18.8. Justin Fields at 19.1. We're going to have an eye on where he goes. Kirk Cousins 19.7. By the way, Kirk Cousins, if we go weeks 1 through 8, he was quarterback 4, right? Joe Flacco, small sample size, but 20 points a game over the course of 5 games. Lamar Jackson, 21.3 points per game for 16. Jalen Hurts, 22.9. Josh Allen, 23.1. We were drafting. There were many of us drafted Patrick Mahomes ahead of Jalen Hurts, sometimes ahead of Josh Allen. Don't think we'll be doing a lot of that this year. Maybe it's a good pivot. Maybe he will become an actual value. But that's how we explain it. Patrick Mahomes came up big in big moments, and Isaiah Pacheco ran the ball well. There's a lot. I guess this is a multivariable equation, right? That's the answer, Steve. It's never one thing, right? This is a problem we have in all things. We want to assign an explanation to one thing. We're doing it. I see a lot of it going on with Stephon Diggs, and conversely with James Cook. And I think there's something to it. It's the change to offensive coordinator. Yeah, that was a factor, but is it the only factor? I don't think so. I don't know what it is with Diggs, and I'm curious about Diggs. What are we going to talk about when Diggs' career is over? That 9-game blip, maybe 10 games, I guess, if you were including the playoff games, 10, 11, where he was not great. And then the rest of his career, he was great. Does he rebound? Does the offensive coordinator be a limiting factor? Joe Brady sticking around? Does that ensure another running back one season for James Cook? I don't think it's as simple as that, but I do think that's part of it. Do I see? Well, hi, Mark Spafford. Thanks for coming. Do you see Rashee Rice taking a step into top five wide receiver? Yeah, I think he'll be drafted there. I've seen him go way too early. I've seen him go way earlier than I feel like he should go in some of these drafts. I want to say in that host draft, let's take a quick look. He went in the 3rd round, 311. The great Andrew Cooper. Not going to disparage anyone because Andrew Cooper stole guys from me that I wanted to draft very badly. Jahmyr Gibbs and Jonathan Taylor. Rashee Rice went ahead of players like T. Higgins, Amari Cooper, Zay Flowers, Tank Dell. I don't know. That's a little rich for my blood. I think the latest draft I'm in, I want to say, let's see where I don't know that he's gone in this one. Oh, he did go. He went even earlier in this one. 3-2 to Heath Cummings from CBS in another draft I'm in. That just seems a little rich for my blood. So I think what I need to see here, like I see him as more of a wide receiver, definitely not a wide receiver 1. More of a wide receiver 3, and he'll have some upside. But I think some of this is going to depend on the moves the Chiefs make. And I think when we're drafting this early, we have to set some conventions in our mind. We have to build a box for some of these players to understand, at least what we think the outcomes are going to be. Is that the Rashee Rice? Me too. I thought it was crazy. And, we always think like who's going to gain. Like, I don't think Rashee Rice had a huge, final game, like the Gabe Davis kind of game that's going to raise his ADP a ton. He had maybe a great end of the season run, but I think they're going to add pieces there or add a piece there, whether it's a free agent acquisition, and I think the general perception out there, or at least the expectation is Mike Evans is not available. The Buccaneers keep him. T. Higgins gets a franchise tag, although that's not certain. Michael Pittman Jr., that the Colts make an effort to keep him. I think all those are likely, but not entirely set in stone. And after that, it's, you're taking your chances a little bit in the free agent market. If I bring the list up, which I have somewhere nearby, not as nearby as I'd like. Memo to self. Have the free agent list up in advance. Once you get past those 3, it's Calvin Ridley. I can see him making some waves there. Marquise Brown. I don't know. Gabriel Davis, the aforementioned. Michael Thomas. Odell Beckham. I mean, the cliff falls off pretty quickly. So do they go into the draft and do this? And I think the thing for the Chiefs has been Brett Veach is great at drafting, but he has not necessarily been entirely great at drafting wide receivers. They did have a hit with Tyreek Hill and obviously Rashee Rice, but there's other guys they have huge misses on. So I don't know. We'll have to see, but I think that's going to be the determining factor. Hollywood is a possibility. I mean, he would be a field stretcher, but I think he would actually make me feel better about Rice than I do. If Marquise Brown was the guy they got, I think I'd feel better about Rice. I mean, I think Brown would be good, right? And I think, has all the speed and all the things you want. He's had trouble staying on the field, but I do think he would be a good fit in that offense as a speed threat. But I think that would enhance that would boost my opinion somewhat of Rashee Rice. I think it would. I need to think through this more. That's interesting, though. Rice is okay. He is playing with the great one. That is true, Olaf Fub. Didn't mean to call you a flub. My bad. I think Rice has that upside. I think does he have that upside, or is he just a super good fit for what the Chiefs want to do at times, which gives him a ton of upside because he plays with Patrick Mahomes. And when it all is said and done, and we look back through the big lens of time and distance away, maybe we look at this season like maybe I think we might look at Stephon Diggs' end of the season like, it was just not even a memorable blip, right? This season might be the one season where they were getting some things together. Do we know for sure if Travis Kelce might not have had a better season had he not started it hurt? Do we know how healthy he was throughout the course of the season? Was he a step slow? I mean, and it wasn't a horrible season by any stretch of the imagination. But was it not Kelsian, truly Kelsian? Could he rebound to be truly Kelsian, or is he falling off the cliff? I don't know. A lot of pieces there. Steve says talk of Tony Pollard finally feeling back to health around week 9, where he then produced near his ADP, though the TDs hurt his overall value. Where do we draft him next season? I think so. I want to say I was looking at him on the underdog. Let me take a quick look on the underdog so I can see where he's going right now. Because I do think that's a player I'm looking like. And that's what I need to do. I need to come up with my lists and have them here to share with you of players who I felt like were disappointing but might have a chance to rebound. That's what I'm looking for. Players who came up short, who fell short of their draft value, and like people hate now because they fell short of their draft value. I'll tell you what, I'm going to have way more Alvin Kamara than I need to, and I hope that he sticks around. Derrick Henry, dirt cheap, running back 15, 16. Aaron Jones, running back 17. I'm going to have a lot of that. And Tony Pollard, running back 23, currently on underdog. ADP is 79, so round 6. That is cheap. I think some of that will depend on where he goes, right, Steve? If he ends up moving on, or it depends on who they add to him. I don't want to recount totally the whole conversation, but maybe it was the injury. Also, maybe it was a little bit the play calling. He did not seem to get the ball in the open field as much as he had in the past, where he didn't make the same kind of big plays and didn't get the hit the big play lottos that he was hitting before. And also terrible luck in the red zone. Cowboys had terrible luck in general in the red zone. Tony Pollard had the worst of the luck in the red zone early in the year. So yeah, I think he will be a player that I'm going to be very interested in, because the price is going to be, there comes a point where everyone has value, people, and you should be looking for those kind of players. And we will do an entire show on that at some point here, of players who, and some of this plays out a little bit as we see what happens in free agency, which will come the second week of March. And we'll see where some of the big name pieces, but there aren't a ton of big name pieces. The big name pieces are few and far between. I mentioned a wide receiver, T. Higgins, Michael Pittman Jr., and Mike Evans. After that, Calvin Ridley, maybe if he goes to the right spot. Marquise Brown, maybe. Am I going to get excited about Gabriel Davis? No. Michael Thomas? No. Odell Beckham? No. Tyler Boyd? No. Curtis Samuel? No. DJ Shark? Nah. Darnell Mooney, KJ Osborne, Kendrick Bourne, Noah Brown? Maybe. Demarcus Robinson? I mean, he had to run. Donovan Peoples-Jones, Chase Claypool? No. At running back. Who are we looking at? Saquon Barkley? Yes. A little talk about him in Los Angeles. That's interesting. Josh Jacobs? Sure. Austin Eckler? Do I expect a rebound? I don't know. Derrick Henry? I'll be in on. DeAndre Swift? Pollard? Antonio Gibson? So after Pollard, we kind of hit the skids a little bit, right? Antonio Gibbs, J.K. Dobbins? Do you come back from a second ACL? Ezekiel Elliott showed up back in Dallas. I would be loving Tony Pollard more. I think the right back, pairing him with the right back would be good news for Tony Pollard. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, A.J. Dillon, Zach Moss, Devin Singletary, Gus Edwards, Damian Harris, Kareem Hunt, Deontay Foreman. Do any of those players thrill you? Tight end, Dalton Schultz. Hope he stays with the Houston Texans. Hunter Henry, Noah Fant, Gerald Everett, Mike Gesicki. Never again. Anyone in the Scott Fish Bowl with me knows that reference. Irv Smith Jr., Austin Hooper. So, it's not like a sterling free agent class to me. Wendy, thank you. See, I told you. So we'll dig into all those, position by position. Got a lot of time to kick back, work our way through the off season at a leisurely pace. You will find my work at FootballGuys.com. I hope you go there. You'll hear me on the SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio. This week I'll be on again tomorrow night, Thursday at 10 p.m., 10 to midnight. Friday night, 10 p.m. to midnight. Saturday, 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern times. And Friday night, Dempsey and I are going to do a mock draft Friday. I don't know. We're calling it, Dempsey had a name for it. I don't even remember what it is. But it's just going to be the two of us. We'll draft 6 teams each, and we'll give you some in-depth analysis of our players as we go along, and we'll crush each other's hopes and spirits as we steal. Because we do this. And we will drive up value single-handedly. Then you'll catch me as well. A little trouble. Easy kids in the chat. So I'll be around, and you'll catch me here. And also likely more stuff at Football Guys YouTube channel at some point as well. We're working out plans for that. So I'm super excited for the coming season and super excited to be sharing some time with you every single week, Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Again, next week, it's going to be Thursday. Sam Holt will be here from Fantasy Life, and she can do Thursday, so we'll do Thursday. And Zach Moss really did. So, I mean, I'll be interested to see where Zach Moss goes. And I'll be interested to see what his price is because I think it'll be cheap. So next Thursday here in this channel at this time, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Then Saturday, I'll be here this Saturday at noon Eastern time. Me, you, and the Yard Guys. What do you say? And it'll be an Ask Me Anything, and I'll have a little more specific content for you, and we'll figure out some values and start setting some baselines. That's what we do this time of year. We set baselines, right? You set it's a data continuum. We are working from here to there. And along the way, we're going to get all kinds of information that's going to change where and how we view players, right? And that's the goal, is by the time we get to August, we have plugged in so much damn information that we can't make a screw up because it will all be a live listener live draft. We'll be doing those, Willpower. We will be doing those. Some of here right here on the live streams. I don't know if we'll do them on the air on the radio. It's a little tough, but I think we have done them before. We do the military draft, so we'll work on that as well. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for coming. Appreciate your time. It's very valuable to you, also to me. Happy Valentine's Day. Did I say Thanksgiving? I'm just old. Happy Valentine's Day. I'm going to get off the air before my lovely fiance gets here so I can celebrate. And I hope you all have a great night. And I'll see you here Saturday or on the radio tomorrow or Friday or Saturday or here next Thursday. Good night.